My mother enters the workforce. The path to ABC Business School was paid for by a lucky sign. Alterations, qualified seamstress, inquire within. Tested on sleeves, hers never puckered, puffed, or sleek.
Lego or Raglan, they barely need the damp clothes to steam them perfect.
Those were the afternoons. Evenings she took in piecework.
The treadle machine with its locomotive were traveling the lit path of the needle through quicksand, taffeta or velvet deep as a forest.
And now, sang the treadle, I know, I know.
And then it was day again. All morning at the office machines, their clack and chatter, another journey rougher. That would go on forever, until she could break 100 words with no errors. And then no more postponed groceries and the blue pair of shoes.
In front of us, a poem none of us has ever read before. I'm Stephanie Yewdell. I teach 6th grade English Language Arts at Success Academy, Harlem North Central. I try to make it very different every single day, so I don't think the kids know when they come into my room what to expect. But it is very fast-paced to ensure that the kids are engaged. Because you will be called on, you won't know when you're going to be called on, and so that means you always have to be on your feet and ready to learn.
The poem is about how the mother works hard to get all these luxuries.
On Saturday, we as adults read the poem and discussed the meaning of it, very similar to what we did in class. And so what questions would we ask our students to get to the same adult understanding? So today we started with a do now, which is just a little warm-up exercise to get the kids, the scholars' brains warmed up for what intellectual work they're going to have to put in. So it was to build background knowledge on the sleeves as well as the typewriters, because it was, in my opinion, information and materials that they had never had much exposure to in the past.
In the do now, we had background information about the typewriter and the types of clothes that the mother was making.
If you understand the words and you define them, then it's kind of telling you what the poem's gonna be about. And then poems became one of the favorite genres that I read now.
And then we read the poem once through, just to get a feeling, or a tone as we call it, and then we broke it up into parts and words and phrases that we thought were either really touching to us or integral to the meaning of the poem.
I picked never puckered, puffed, or sleek.
I picked taffeta or velvet deep as a forest.
I picked no more postponed groceries and the blue pair of shoes.
Does anyone choose a saying or word just based off the way it sounded? Jatoria.
I chose tested on her sleeves, hers never puckered, puffed, or sleek, because it shows that she was making very nice clothes and she was a very hard worker.
I want you to turn and talk to your partner, okay? Why is the author focusing on the clothing in the first, like the types of clothes?
I think he's focusing on the type of clothes because I think the mother is like trying to buy the clothes or like.
So is she making those clothes for herself?
No.
So what kind of?
She's making it for older people.
Older
Formal people.
Okay, and formal people have what?
Jobs? Money.
We do think, pair, share, or turn and talk to deepen the students' understanding, as well as to give all students an opportunity to speak and have their voices heard and their opinions. Moving on to the 1, 2, 3, 4th stanza. And now, sang the treadle. I know, I know. And then it was day again, all morning at the office machines. Their clack and chatter, another journey, rougher, that would go on forever, until she could break 100 words with no errors. And then. But look at the lines, I know, and then. How is the speaker, in his or her mind, saying these lines? Jatoria.
I know, and then.
Okay.
So she's trying to say it casually because she's having a real conversation, like she's not trying to say it fancy.
Okay, beautiful. Does anyone have a different interpretation?
I just noticed that when it says and then, it's like more of a relief because it's like saying and then we don't have to like wait for the groceries anymore because now that they can get the new blue pair of shoes that they wanted, meaning that they can get the things that they want.
Also that the author's choice, that he put an exclamation point. She put an exclamation point to show how she's so happy and relieved.
You could really feel through the language and the punctuation choices the author made that there was a change in the poem. So it was great that they were able to figure that out on their own. Moving on. The path to the ABC Business School was paid for by a lucky sign. Salute.
I think lucky sign represents a symbol, the fact that she worked very hard to get into the school and that she actually got into the school and it was her first time working here.
Did anyone think of that before Salute said that? Salute, that's huge for you because you know how poetry was so hard for you last year, right? That's a great symbolic. You truly seen the symbol in it. Do you see it, Dahlia? Okay. I find that sometimes poetry is one where students who've never felt successful in the classroom flourish. Usually the kids who are always at the bottom, always don't feel successful. Once we start a poetry unit is where they come alive. It's where that's the genre that speaks to them. I think I planned for the lesson, so I was able to kind of just feel a little bit more relaxed in the sense of like, we're gonna get to where we need to get because they're making their meaning, and if we get completely off track, I have guiding questions. Everyone, look at your shoes right now. What color are they? Black. Black, because they're a necessity. The shoes you want to wear in school, what color are they, Rory? Blue shoes.
Like my teacher said to look at your black shoes. And then like blue pair of shoes represents success. It represents the same thing in my life.
Right? So, those of you who have the exit ticket, please turn it over. Rory, will you please read what the question is asking?
In 2016, what would be the job a mother would have to do to enter the workforce? What would she have to overcome today in order to be successful?
An exit ticket is a check for understanding that we met the goal of the lesson. So did my students understand today that this poem's message was relatable to any time period?
I think that my mom, she buys me many things that I want and that I don't need because I know that I need food and water. Yes, my mom buys me that, but also like probably shoes, like Jordans or Nikes or things like that.
It kind of reminded me of what my mother does and how she's a good caregiver for us, and she supports us with many things.
The things that they think of and come up with and participate in class blow me away. I don't remember thinking the way that they do at 6th graders. So their abilities exceed my expectations, so I push them and I'm relentless, to be completely honest, because they're capable of writing beautifully, eloquently, thought-provokingly. Poetry was always intimidating to me, and teaching it, like, they make me love it so much that I want to read poetry and I want to think like they do.